Portland Public Schools is located within the city of Portland, Oregon, in Monoma County. As employees of PPS, it's vital that we acknowledge that every school building, court, field, stadium, office, and learning space we utilize has taken place on Indigenous land. As such, we honor the tribal people whose way of life, traditions, culture, and in every sense, ways of being was taken from them. Acknowledgement is a simple, powerful way of showing respect for those whose land we are on, is a step toward correcting the stories and practices, language and art that erase Indigenous peoples' history and culture toward inviting and honoring the truth in relationships with our Indigenous land, resources, and communities. We want to take a moment to acknowledge the stolen lands on which we meet today from our various locations around the area. This land has been home for thousands of years to the native nations of the Monoma, Kalapuya, Chinook, Clackamas, Malala, Kathlamet, Tualatin peoples, among others. Native peoples hunted deer and other animals, fished for salmon and other fish, gathered traditional root and berry foods, traded, lived within traditional spiritual and governmental structures, and more. Boarding schools, tribal termination, racism, and other aspects of colonialism have continued to negatively impact Native people since that time. We can't undo what was done, but we can honor and acknowledge the descendants of the original peoples of this land, those who have passed, as well as the land itself.
Good morning, everyone. Let me say that again. Good morning. Buenos dias. My name is Norberto Delgadillo, and I'm excited to be here with you today. I'm a PPS Chief Financial Officer, or CFO. And so what that means is that the functions that are part of my team are payroll, finance, budgeting, purchasing, and having many conversations regarding how to use our funds to support what we do. Although, because a lot of the work that my team does may not be at the forefront of people's mind. So because of that, I like to think about it as the magic behind a curtain. Or another way I think about the work we do is it's like the air we breathe. It's important, right? Air is important. You can't see it though, but you'll quickly realize when it's not there. You'll quickly realize, Houston, we have a problem. I can't breathe. I'd also like to think about all the amazing work you all do in the same way. You may not necessarily be in the classroom scaffolding math problems or designing an English lesson plan, but what you do is so vital to our school communities. The supports you bring to your schools are important and are contributing factors in ensuring the success of our teachers, school leaders, parents, and of course, our students. You all contribute to the success of our school communities. Let that sink in, just in case you weren't sure. And like the air we breathe, if you are not there, folks will quickly realize that they have a problem. The work you all do, whether directly or indirectly, results in impacting the conditions we want to create for our students. Whether it's submitting P card receipts on time, all of those P cards, so that the principal ends up having one less thing to worry about. You take on that responsibility. You figure out, you along with your colleagues and your coworkers, figure out how to create more capacity for your team, for the principal. One less thing for the principal to worry about, and therefore more time for them to talk to parents. Or whether it's getting the account code right so that the school budget balances out and funds are readily available for student activities. Or just simply smiling and warmly greeting our students as they make their way down the hallway. All of our actions are these micro events that build up towards creating conditions for success. And yes, you all play an important role in that. You all play an important role in that. Whether it's a complicated task as reconciling, or I'll say it again, a simple task such as smiling and saying good morning. Thank you for helping to create an environment that sets the tone for success. I have a deep appreciation for the work you all do, not just because I work for PPS, but because I've seen your roles play out across the country. I've seen your roles play out as a parent of a 6th grader and an 8th grader. Yes, I'm gonna have 2 middle schoolers at home. I'm also the spouse of a teacher. So I see how you all come together and help get things done, help create the tone and conditions for success. And I'm grateful for you all stepping up to the plate to create that administrative / operational safety net for your schools. But we also know it's more than just the technical, operational parts of the job that are important. It's the people component to the job that is important as well. Being the one ear the principal may have after a tough day, but you don't have someone to vent to. Being polite to a stressed out first-year teacher when you yourself are exhausted. Consoling a student when you may be the one needing some consoling, but in the end, you put their needs above yours. The work this group does impacts our school communities in so many dimensions. Let me explain how, with a little background on me. I grew up in a trailer park in Compton, California. So right now, you may be seeing this guy in a coat from the central office, but behind a coat is a journey that has included so many challenges, but also so many amazing people who have supported me. I grew up as an English language learner. Every so often, you'll hear the pronunciations or difficulty of pronunciations. As a kid, I qualified for free meals and my parents did not speak English. And growing up in Compton during the 1980s was not easy. I unfortunately saw a lot of gang violence. Whether it was getting caught in the middle of a drive-by while I just made my way home after school, or seeing a security guard get in a shootout with a gang member, or just exposed to a lot of negative behavior. Being called offensive names because my parents were from another country, or being told I was simply dumb since I didn't speak English. I didn't start speaking English till about the 3rd grade. Another aspect of my childhood was that we did not have much money. I grew up in a 1-bedroom trailer. We ate beans, a lot of beans, too many beans. And I had to share a room with my younger brother and sister. So you can only imagine how intense some of those nights were. But putting that to the side, we had no money. So I didn't have many birthday parties because we couldn't afford it. I sure as heck didn't have fancy clothes, no Jordans. But I did have 2 parents that worked their butts off to give us what we needed to survive. The needs in life, not the wants. They were very clear with me from the beginning that they did not want me to settle for the life we were living. They demanded that I needed to persevere. In Spanish, they would say, "Mijo, no hay que ser conformista." It kind of translates to, "Son, don't settle." Fast forward to today, I now understand how fortunate I was to have that type of family unit. But what was also an important factor was that I had adults at school who also encouraged me. And encouraged me in the simplest ways, from the good mornings as I got on the bus to the "how's your day" coming along when I walked by the main office. I had a sense of belonging both at home and at school. And unfortunately, not every student has that. Many students don't have much say with what happens at home or how they are made to feel at home. But the adults in our schools do have a whole lot of say with how we can make our students feel while at school. So when we think about all of the interactions students can have, whether at school or outside of school, those that we can help support and help create a sense of belonging are those interactions that you all can support while at school. And I know that you know that. And I'm here to say thank you and to please keep it up. If you haven't had a student come up to tell you how much they appreciate you, know that many years from now, they will look back, think about their whole schooling experience, and most likely be grateful, like me. I felt welcomed and safe while at school, and being welcomed by our secretary, the attendance clerk, or other office staff first thing in the morning, or helping me with my lost and found, which kind of became a sport at some point, or simply speaking Spanish to my parents and making them feel comfortable. All of these are all fond school memories that help create an environment for me to succeed. And so I want you all to take a minute. Just take a minute to think about the other Norbertos in your schools. Think about the students smiling or maybe squinting because they may have a mask, but you can't see their smiles, but you know they're smiling. But ultimately excited to be back. So they'll be looking to you all for that encouragement to have an awesome year, the encouragement to darle ganas. And I know you all will have the courage to step up and be there for your schools and our PPS community. A lot of what I've talked about is kind of like thinking about our collective why we support our students, why do we support our coworkers? But also, as important is understanding your individual why. What gives you the courage to get up day in, day out, to do this work? Why are you in education? We know this work is tough. What is that intrinsic motivation that gets you going? I'm fairly certain that many of you did not get up this morning with the goal of failing. Maybe it was tough, as you kind of get back into the routines, get that body back into waking up early. And I doubt y'all woke up telling yourself, or maybe telling yourself later in the year, yep, I plan to fail today. I doubt that happened. I am not saying having a why is going to make everything peachy, rainbows, and cupcakes. It's not just going to make everything easy, but when you are clear about your individual why for this work, it helps, maybe just a little, but it helps with perspective. As far as my individual why, well, you just heard some background to how I grew up. And so a source for my why is thinking about those students that are versions of me from 40 years ago. I want to figure out how to pay it forward. But also, my individual why is grounded in just like this stubborn optimism that we can always do better, to not settle. My intrinsic motivation helps me get through the noise. There are always a lot of distractions, but being clear on my individual why is crucial and helps give me perspective, which in my case, is taking that step back, looking at the bigger picture, the forest versus the trees. So let's take a minute, get a piece of paper. Yes, piece of paper or your phone or a device. So just, look around, maybe you have something there, or just take, the moment to just think through the following. We're going to do a quick reflection. I want you to write down the answer to this question. Why are you in education? So if you happen to, or type it in your notes on your phone, or just, take the minute to think about it. Why are you in education? Write it down. Now, thinking about your answer, ask yourself why again. So if you said, because I want to help students, then ask, why do you want to help students? If you said, because I want to eventually become a teacher, then why do you want to become a teacher? So whatever your why is, it's that first why. So ask why again. I'll give you a few more seconds. I know you're all thinking about it. Hopefully you're not multitasking. No, it's not going to be 100 degrees today. I'm sure there's this great Little League game last night or yesterday. So I'm sure you already took a look at all that fun stuff. So right now you're focusing on your why. And then that second layer of why. The way this exercise works is you ask the 5 whys. I'm sure many of you are familiar with it. And so you double click a little deeper by asking why a few more times to really help hone in. Yes, it can kind of deviate and branch, but it's really interesting to see how that starts to develop. I'll leave it up to you all to do the remaining 3 whys. So you've done 2 whys. So I'll leave it up to you to do the remaining 3 whys. And hopefully through that, you uncover something enlightening that can help define how you approach a challenge, a task, or simply why you come to work every day. And so as the adults that help set the tone, whether through your individual or collective whys, as the adults that may be the magic behind a curtain, right? You aren't at the forefront necessarily, or right there leading 30 students, but you bring something special to your schools. And on behalf of all of the students, all of the Norbertos out there who you influence, whether you know it or not, thank you. And before I end here, I'm just going to go off script again, just a little bit, in the spirit of gratitude. I'm going to ask that you take out your phones, or if you already have it out, or maybe you already have your chat message going, or if you want to just write a handwritten note, send a message to someone who has been there for you. And again, in the spirit of gratitude, just think about maybe a coworker, maybe a friend, tal vez el primo, the cousin, or someone who was there for you. Just take a minute to thank them. Maybe it's been something that happened a few years ago or something that happened earlier today. Just take a few seconds. It never hurts to drop a note of kindness. And I know our students appreciate that. Thank you for being here today. Thank you for being there for our students and families. Gracias por el ánimo para nuestra comunidad. Have an awesome day of learning. There's a lot of things on today's agenda, and everyone's come together here for you so that we can continue to build off of this and be there for our students, and of course, to have an amazing school year. Thank you. Have a great day.